Hey friends, it's Jeannie and welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'll be sharing my January wrap up, or as some of you know it, all the books I read in January. So January was an interesting reading month. For some reason, I felt kind of lost, which was weird because I did plan out books I want to read in 2022 last month. So it was just weird. Like, I don't know what it is, but I swear something's wrong in the book matrix.
The Matrix is everywhere. It is all around us, even now in this very room.
The dilemma was that I knew all the books I wanted to read, but didn't know where to start, which led me to picking up books that weren't even on my 2022 books to read. Well, except for one, and that's the Will Smith memoir, which you're going to want to stay tuned to hear my thoughts on that book. So now let's move on to this video. Book number one, The Sea in Winter by Christine Day. Okay, guys, so the Sea in Winter is actually a library book, and if you saw my Come to the Library with Me vlog, you would know that this was actually one of the books I picked up on a whim. And yeah, I had the pleasure of reading it. So in this one, we're taking a journey with a Native American girl struggling to find her joy again. Ever since Macy Cannon injured her leg, her whole world was turned upside down, making it a pretty tough year for her, hindering her from keeping up with her ballet training and auditions. With everything she's dealing with, Macy's anxieties and dark moods starts to hurt as much as the pain in her knee, leaving her questioning how can she pretend to be strong when on the inside she feels as roiling and cold as the sea. So the trigger warnings that I found from this book are references to or depictions of child anxiety and depression, hopelessness, loss of a parent, grief, albinism, body shaming, jealousy, past mentions of child abuse, racism, and medical content. So this was a beautifully written and poignant story that we all can learn from. This story is heavy on mental health and depression, and I loved everything about that. Although these are heavy topics, I felt that the author portrayed it in a way that anyone can relate to, especially middle schoolers. I felt that the author skillfully includes many facts about the Maka Nation and other native tribes, from the Elwa Dam to the Duwamish tribe. That really made the book stand out for me, and I felt that it was very well done. One thing worth mentioning is that although this was a middle grade book, I learned a lot from it. If you decide to read this book, make sure you read the author's note. She shares insightful information on the thoughtfulness behind the chapter titles and information on the Elwha River Restoration Project. My brain had to think of say it slowly and not mess up. It's also interesting to see how Macy grapples and fights the battle of hopelessness, depression, and anxiety at such a young age. You gotta figure if she's in the seventh grade, then she's anywhere from 12 to 14 years old. And that is a lot to deal with as a child. As I was reading this story, all the way through, I was rooting for her and telling her everything's gonna be all right. I really just wanted to give her a big hug and tell her that this isn't over, your dreams are not over. Don't let this injury stop you. I felt that she definitely needed a hug, but at the same token, I also loved the family dynamics that were portrayed in this story. Macy has a strong, supportive family structure that was uplifting to see and heartwarming. It was nice to see such a well fleshed out portrayal of a blended family. And we don't really get that so much. I love, love, love reading books with blended families because it just makes it so much more realistic. And it's just something that we see a lot nowadays. And I especially loved the sibling dynamics and her interaction with her little brother Connor. It was just the sweetest thing. And I felt like Connor lightened everything up and he really like tried to make Macy feel better. And that was just such a treasure in the story.
Oh my gosh, Steve, it's gonna be so fun
Don't
for
touch
you
me.
tonight
Don't. That's
doing
harassment.
that with Mom. That's so nice.
It's harassment.
I also felt that there was moments in the story where the focus kind of shifted from Macy's issues to her mom's instead. There were times where I was kind of like wondering about the accident and how it all happened. I would have liked that only because I really wanted to figure out like the details of the accident that may have caused Macy to act the way she did, especially towards her family, because in a sense she was like kind of pushing them away. And it just made me wonder, like, besides the fact that she was dealing with so many different emotions, especially, like depression, anxiety, the hopelessness, thinking that she's not going to be able to dance and stuff. And is very understandable. But I was just, wondering about that. And like I said, it's just a small little minor detail that I wanted to know more about. I felt it was worth mentioning that The Sea in Winter, which was released January of last year, is published under a new HarperCollins imprint called Heart Drum, which features indigenous authors and own voices stories. I love that. I just had to throw that out there because I feel like that's amazing. Overall, I really enjoyed this story and I look forward to reading more books by this author. Book number 2, Change Your Brain, Change Your Life by Daniel G. Amen. So this book is described as a brain prescription that really works. You get scientific evidence that things like your depression, anxiety, obsessiveness, anger, or impulsiveness can be related to how specific structures in your brain work. The author also gives specific brain prescriptions that can heal your brain and change your life. So some trigger warnings that I found were anxiety, depression, addiction, obsessiveness, and in my opinion, a little bit of sexism.
Ew!
One of the things that I really appreciated was that Dr. Amen refrained from using a lot of medical jargon. He gives a lot of information on a very complex subject and makes it understandable to the average person. Don't you just hate when you visit your doctor about something and they explain it with all these like terms that you don't even know? Like, it has you questioning, is this even a language? Because this is definitely one that I don't know. I know I definitely have dealt with that with doctors. So it's like sometimes they explain things and I'm just like, what?
We're going on a national bikini tour, and we're looking for 2 oil boys who can grease us up before each competition.
You are in luck. There's a town about 3 miles that way. I'm sure you'll find a couple guys there.
I really enjoyed learning how the brain works and how different activities in the brain corresponds to particular issues, the way our brain affects our behavior, and how we can make our brain healthier. Reading this provides hope and access to healing and gives you a different outlook and understanding towards yourself and others. He offers hope for many people that have been suffering from various mental disorders. Because his specialty is, the brain and doing brain scans, I think it was called spec, something like that. And he talks a lot about it and like, he really goes in on those scans. And it kind of started making me feel like I want a brain scan. I want to know which areas, I need to work on so like that it can heal. Maybe even with my epilepsy, who knows? But I thought that was very interesting and it definitely made me feel like I wanted one. Just so he could tell me what I need to do to fix my brain because we all know it needs fixing. And as I mentioned, although the author did pretty good with explaining this complex subject, I felt that the author was constantly dumping too much information, which left me a bit overwhelmed and sometimes bored. There also were a lot of times that I felt that a lot of his conclusions were biased and pretty one sided. It made me feel more like he was giving his beliefs and his views of the world and not actual science. A lot of what he refers to as a normal functioning brain is drawn more from his worldviews and assumption he makes as to why people act or feel the way they do. For example, there was a part in the book where he brings up, people that listen to rock music and how they're always angry and depressed. Which, by the way, that's not always the case because most of the time there's underlying reasons why somebody that listens to rock music may be angry. It's not necessarily the music that's making them angry. So I was pretty bothered by that because I, for one, love listening to rock music. And guess what? I don't walk around here mad at the world, upset, and even as a teen, I was not like that. Instead, there were other underlying reasons for me being angry or feeling down. And yeah, that bothered me. So it was kind of like, I don't think so. That's just your views and your assumptions of why someone who listens to rock might be angry. And listen to this. His brain prescription for that is you should listen to classical music and something calming. Really? Really? It's like, guess what, my dude? That does not help me, okay? Like, I could still be angry and upset regardless. So, in reality, in my case, I felt like rock music understands me and understands my feelings, okay? So, I will continue to listen to my rock music. Thank you very much, Dr. Amen. Well, I also couldn't overlook the fact that the author was pretty close minded. For example, he brings up women and how we're crazy, just regularly, but when it's that time of the month, we're even more crazy. And listen, if you a man watching this video, you better not come for me saying that yes, it's true, because yes, there is a little truth to that, okay? But not really, all right? Not really, because men, when you experience that time of the month and deal with what we have to go through as women, then come talk to me. And since he is a man, he does not understand how that is. So, no, women are not crazy. I found that pretty offensive.
It was offensive and lame. So double offensive.
When he talks about that, he subtly states that his perceptions as real science. Many women deal with mood disorders due to hormonal imbalances that are factually real. The way that the author discussed these issues didn't seem fair, and it seemed like a pretty old-fashioned way of thinking. It really made me feel like he's just a sexist jerk. There, I said it. Mic drop, okay? The other thing I found is that this book was so long and so repetitive. Like, I seriously felt like it never was going to end.
10 years later.
I listened to this on audiobook. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, it was like 23 hours long, something to that effect. I know it was definitely somewhere in the 20s. So, in a sense, I kind of should have knew better, but at the same token, I felt like, oh, it's probably long because, of course, it's talking about the brain and ways that you can, help your brain and heal it and fix it. So I was like, okay, let me just give it a shot. You know what I mean? I grew pretty weary of the repetitive pattern of common sense stuff. Make sure you sleep well and have good nutrition and exercise, and what foods you should eat for brain health. And don't get me wrong, though this was pretty good information, in regards to what food to eat that will help your brain function. For each chapter, he was repeating the same foods over and over and over and over and over again. And what I would like to mention, even though he would constantly mention medication and therapy and supplements that some people may need and everybody should use, in regards to supplements. I did like the fact that that wasn't like his first option. Like, he would tell you, do all these other things first, and then if it continues, you may have to speak to, your doctor, and there could be a chance that you may need medication. So that was where the whole bias thing comes in, and it kind of was like an imbalance to what he was saying too, because in one sense he's like, if you do all these things, you can, basically like wipe your brain clean and it's healed and it's fixed, right? But then at the same token, you're like, well, if, you do all these things and it doesn't work, well, then there's always medication. So what that tells me is that obviously there are some like actual mental health issues that can't be fixed, that can't be simply erased. You know what I mean? Another thing that really turned me off about this book too was that it kind of seemed like a commercial, like an ad for the author's various business ventures. Like, literally, he should have just been like,
may I have your attention, please? May I have your attention, please?
Before you start this book, I'm going to let you know that this is really a commercial, and I'm going to be telling you should come to my clinic and you should seek therapy, because guess what? I can do that. And you know what? Also available on my website is the supplements that I'm mentioning billions of times in here, and even some medication that I can also prescribe you. Yes, you will be getting all of that in this book, and mentions of all the foods as well. Yeah, he should have really just did that. Also, if anyone can fix their brain like Dr. Amen says, then what does he have to say about someone with epilepsy? Because trust me, I would love for that problem with my brain to be fixed or healed. And please do not suggest medication, because guess what? I already take medication and I still end up having seizures sometimes. And throughout the day, there's still minor seizures that happen. So yeah, I'm very interested to know what Dr. Amen has to say about that, because he does not mention that in the book. So I guess the conclusion to that is that my brain is not fixable. With all of that said, while there may be selective readers that could benefit from everything that Dr. Amen suggests, I really wasn't one of them. It was just rather difficult for me to sort out his opinions and assumptions from actual facts. Book number 3, Will, by Will Smith. In this memoir, we take a glimpse inside the life of musician, producer, and actor Will Smith. He takes us on his profound journey of self-knowledge with the inspiring message of where your will can take you and all that it can leave behind. Some trigger warnings that I want to share with you that I have found are domestic abuse, contemplated suicide, thoughts of murder, and jealousy. So, what I have to say about Will Smith is that he definitely is a storyteller. I really enjoyed this epic journey that he took me on. He took me through his transformation from a West Philadelphia, a West Philadelphia, why can I not say that?
A West Philadelphia kid.
To one of the biggest rap stars of his era, and then one of the biggest movie stars in Hollywood history. Will literally had me laughing out loud through most of his book. I love how he seemed to always make me laugh. And I'm not saying that he was being comedic throughout the whole book, but he definitely knew how to lighten the mood after talking about those dark moments in his life. I listened to the audiobook for this and it was
amazing.
Not only is Will Smith narrating his own story, but he immerses you in a way that you feel like you were right there with him every step of the way. From the change in his tone, the way he tells his story, and even messes with you at times. It literally felt like if I was just casually having a conversation with him, like over lunch or something. So, if you can, I
highly
recommend that you listen to this one. Now, please excuse me while I have an audiobook hangover because this was by far one of the best that I have listened to. The music and the audio clips that he includes to express certain points in his life literally takes you back in time to that era. Like, I had so many moments of nostalgia from his early songs to his time in The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Remember that?
Now this is a story all about how my life got flipped, turned upside down.
Also to his acting career and the personal details of his life. He even includes music from his friends, people who inspired him, and his children. Listen, when he brought up my fellow Scorpio queen, Willow Smith, and her Whip Your Hair song, I was like, yeah, that literally was me. He mentions a lot of books that helped him on his journey to self-knowledge. It was heartening to hear Will Smith mentioning self-help books as a major factor that helped him and gave him guidance in his life. He mentions a lot of books, but here are the ones that stood out to me because I actually plan on reading them. Paulo Coelho's The Alchemist, Don Quixote, The Odyssey by Homer, The Five Love Languages by Gary Chapman, I believe, and I Know Why the Caged Bird Sing. Now, there's actually so much that I didn't like about this book. Just kidding. Listen, there's absolutely nothing that I didn't like about this book. I loved
every single thing
about this book. And although there's many quotes that I want to share, I'm going to just share 4 with you that were very impactful to me. The first one is, there is no wall. There are only bricks. Your job is to lay this brick perfectly, then move on to the next brick. Then lay that brick perfectly, then the next one. Don't be worrying about no wall. Your only concern is one brick. And that was something that his father told him. Another quote is, hope sustains life. Hope is the elixir of survival during our darkest times. That one hit right here, because I'm dealing with a lot, so that really hit me. Another quote, "Just remember, lover boy," she said, referencing his grandmother. "Be nice to everybody you pass on your way up, cuz you might have to pass them again on your way down." Ain't that the truth? And the last one I want to share is, "Living is the journey from not knowing to knowing, from not understanding to understanding, from confusion to clarity." Listen, my hairs literally stand. Like, telling you, this book has so many great quotes. I love it. So with all that said, this book deserves all the stars. And listen, just reading those quotes again has me emotional right now. Like, I listened to this book at such a perfect time, because dealing with so much and having that perfect book impact you in such a way that it's gonna stay with you forever. Yeah, this book did that for me. And I really want to thank Will Smith for sharing this epic journey, because again, I really, really needed this. I really did. Let me keep laughing so I can, I could calm down and not full blown cry here. But yeah, I can go on forever about how much I really love this book. It truly was an epic tale that I want to experience and go on over and over and over again. Kind of like a roller coaster, like I just want to keep going on it. This one definitely was the first 5-star read of 2022. And it easily made its way on my favorites list. So I highly recommend that you read this book, like, now.
Right now.
Or else we can't be friends anymore. All right?
Jazz, you stole his pillow. It's the thought that counts.
Even though I really, really enjoyed the audiobook, but I really wish that I had the book in front of me, because that book will definitely be heavily annotated. Like, oh my God, I even included the book on my wish list, because I was like, I need this book, okay? I need this book. Not I want it, I need it. Like, I need this book in my life, because I know that it's going to be a constant reread for me, especially during dark times in my life. And yeah, I cannot wait to own a copy of it, because you best to believe your girl is doing a reread right away. Like, I swear, when I get that book, I am rereading it this year. But yeah, make sure you get this book. And by the way, if you read Will, comment down below, like, what was your favorite quotes? What did you enjoy about it? Did you enjoy it? But listen, you may not want to tell me that you didn't enjoy it, because then I just may have to fight you. All right? And I don't want to fight you. I love you. Okay? So, just keep that opinion to yourself. So I would love to hear from you guys. What books you read in January? Which ones were your favorite? Which ones were your least favorite? And did you read any of these books that I mentioned? If you did, I would love to hear your thoughts about it down below. I love chatting with you guys in the comments. And I appreciate you taking the time to watch my video. And if you made it to the end of this video, put this emoji down below. As always, your support means the world to me. I love you guys and see you in my next video. Bye.